Hello, thank you so much for joining in. So I'm really excited to be making this video about a topic that's very important to me and very important in the spiritual holistic world today. Spiritual bypass. So my definition of spiritual bypass is using a spiritual truth or a spiritual idea in a way that's actually harmful. Um, So here's a prime example. I was talking with someone, and they wanted to become a yoga instructor, and I was like, "Oh, that's fantastic! Like, you'd be great. I would go to your class." By the way, this person's probably watching, so I mean it. I want to come to your class. Um, but anyway, and she, we were talking, and she said, "Yeah, well, but sometimes I think I just, should just be content with what I have and not really, strive or seek to change anything." And like alarm bells went off for me, like ding, 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 ding. Now, not necessarily alarm bells for her, because maybe that's the right choice for her, but alarm bells that that's a potential spiritual bypass. So let's look at this really specifically. And of course, this isn't a criticism of this person. I do it, and others, I've done it so many times, and many, many spiritual people do this. And it's quite a nefarious trap. And actually, what we're talking about is spiritual ego. When the ego, which is illusion, delusion, negativity, and a commitment to stay stuck. When an ego gets a hold of spiritual ideas, it can um, it can misuse them, and it can use spiritual truths in a way that actually keep us stuck. So it's really tricky. So let's look at that. So this person had an inspiration, and it's not just like, maybe I'll become a yoga teacher. It's like, oh, I really want to. Sometimes I really think about becoming a yoga teacher. There was excitement and energy and passion, and then comes this idea. Maybe I should just be content with what I have. So that's a spiritual idea. Like, just be content with what you have. Don't strive for anything. And the misapplication of it is literally deadly. Now, that may sound like an exaggeration, but bear with me for a moment. So here's this person, and any one of us can hopefully identify who has this inspiration. And I've done it some more times than I can count. So has an inspiration, and then, oh, I should just be content. So what does that do? That kills that energy. It kills the aliveness. And what it does is it literally just kind of cuts us off from literally the head down to our aliveness, to our passion, to our desire. Now, if you want to be a monk or nun, okay, that's a great idea to not strive for anything and just practice being content. If you don't want to be a monk or nun, if you want to like engage in the world and create a life, then it's absolutely essential to be connected to our passions, to our desires, to our inspirations. Because a spiritual thought like that, applied in that way, is an inspiration killer. Um, for the longest time, I've wanted to take singing lessons. I love to sing, and I'm like, well, some people tell me I have like a really good voice, and I've had the thought, well, maybe with singing lessons, I could like refine that, and I could do something with it. And then I've had the thought, like, that's not spiritual, or Why would you want to take singing lessons? What do you want to do? Become a singer? That's really shallow. You need to focus. Here's the thought was for me. You need to focus on something more deep. That's a Here's the thing, the spiritual ego always contains an ounce of truth, as does spiritual bypass. Like, yes, I want to devote my life to that which is deep. But then there's this narrow definition of like, singing's not deep. It just has, where I've put that on hold for years. I'm finally going to do it. So I said that spiritual bypass is deadly. Why? Well, you know, imagine a life in which we have a feeling, we have an impulse, whether it be to sing or to be a yoga teacher or to go on a road trip, or like maybe there's this place like me, like I've always wanted to visit Sri Lanka. Don't know why. But then, and we all have that place that we just feel drawn to. And then we have thoughts like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Or what might be I don't know what the thought might be. But if we just continually allow these abstract spiritual ideas to crush our human aliveness, then we're literally just heading towards the grave, because our thoughts, our feelings, our impulses, our inspiration, that's our aliveness. And a lot of spirituality today is, well, what's happening is, a lot of these spiritual traditions, primarily Hinduism and Buddhism, um, are at the core of them, they're monastic based. They're traditions that were born out of monasticism, of people being monks and nuns, of people renouncing the world. Um, and so now they're coming to the West, and we're getting a watered down version, but contained within them is is this renunciation of the world and renunciation of our feelings, passions, and inspirations. And of course, that's been going on. It's within Christianity as well, of turning away from the world. So we're starting to uncover that, just because something's spiritual doesn't mean it's helpful. It doesn't mean it's appropriate in the moment. Now here's the kicker. I had that thought, oh, singing lessons aren't deep enough. So there's an ounce of truth there. Like, yes, I want to live a life based on what's true. And just with my friend who's wants to be a yoga teacher, who the thought was, I should just be content with what I have. Yes, we all want to cultivate the capacity for contentment, but that doesn't mean we don't strive for anything, unless you want to become a monk or nun. And for myself, like, yes, we all want to, or I want to strive for what's deep, what really nourishes me. But that doesn't mean like everything has to be like this grand, explosive undertaking. Like, it's okay to have French fries sometimes, and it's okay to take singing lessons, especially if I feel drawn to them. So these are little examples, but over time, they build up to where we're just dead, where we're just like a spiritual person that all we have is spiritual ideas, because um, we've suppressed the life within us. If you want to be a monk or nun, that's great, but I literally took myself to the brink of suicide through doing this. I read all the books, I could talk the talk, but all these ideas were being used by the ego to literally suppress my aliveness. And now I actually consider myself in recovery from spirituality, and specifically in recovery from transcendent spirituality. So that's a very short introduction to spiritual bypass, and don't do it. Become a yoga teacher, take singing lessons, um, have French fries every now and then. Um, you know, for me, spirituality is about embodiment of these truths. It's about living it. It's about balance. It's about, yes, finding contentment, and yes, um, striving for what we want, pursuing our goals. So I hope this was helpful. Questions, comments, feedback, very welcome. Blessings, blessings, blessings.